salam sejahtera Malaysia. It's me again, Elaine Audrey, your show host, and we are live. Just a little background info about me in case you're wondering. I am a Sino Karazan, born and raised from the land below the wind, a place where we have more than just amazing sunsets, okay? That's right, Kota Kinabalu, Sabah. First and foremost, thank you so much to you guys, to those who tuned in to our first episode last week. We appreciate all the comments and feedback we received from all of you. So, terima kasih banyak. A huge shout out to our frontliners and servicemen who have risked and are still risking their lives out there even as I speak right now. Guys, the least we can do to honor their service and sacrifice is to continuously remind ourselves and our loved ones to wear masks in public and to always sanitize our hands at all times. The Unity Show is a spin off from the recent Unity movement that strives to unite the nation through the interests of our generation, regardless of political ideology, race, or religion. Our mission is to come together as one and to spread hope, not hate, unity, not division. Unity is what makes Malaysia strong. So let's keep the faith and let's spread that faith. On tonight's show, it's a pleasure to have two Wonder Women who have inspired a lot of young Malaysian girls, including me, with what they have been fighting, and also they're both super mommies. Let me welcome you, Hannah and Joanna.
Hi.
Hi, YB Hannah, ni hao.
Hi. 我不会讲华语 I can't speak Mandarin.
Oh, so sorry. Actually, I can't too, but I tried. Joanna. Hi, Joanna. Kuro ka no ba no? Ngam ba ito?
Ngam dito. Sa ibadati len.
Haras betul dusun sa.
Ya, dapat boleh belajar.
Boleh belajar. Yeah. YB Hannah, I asked YB Sadiq about the TikTok video last week on how to be a good husband. Yeah, what was that about? Does your husband approve of these tips?
Bean and I, we were learning to do TikTok because our Sandakan MP, Vivian, actually suggested that we learn how to engage younger voters with TikTok, but it's not easy to sing and to dance, or we can't do that at our age. And because of that, then we thought, let's use TikTok positively to create social awareness on issues that we are championing. And so during COVID time, domestic violence is a big issue. And so we decided, to throw in some of these messages to reach our younger voters in a fun way. Yeah. So that's how the TikTok came about.
I enjoyed the TikTok actually.
As long as people remember the message, yeah.
Well, on a serious note, YB Hannah, banyak rakyat tertanya-tanya kenapa Dato Seri Anwar Ibrahim meminta Blok Pembangkang to stand down during the budget vote last week. Do you think it has since alienated the relationship with Warisan because they seem to have shown their frustration with that decision from Dato Seri Anwar? I would quote Warisan's Labuan MP, "It doesn't make sense for Warisan MPs to be used just because we are sitting in the opposition bloc together with PH." What do you have to say to that?
Well, this is your opening question. It's so difficult. Okay.
I promise it'll get better.
I think that a lot have been said in the news about the budget sitting, and as opposition MPs, what is really important now is for us to remain united. I think it's very important that we do what is best for the people. I don't want to comment on what happened on that Thursday. As far as DAP is concerned, our party representative, Anthony Loke, has already issued a statement. And ever since then, I'm in the parliament every day looking at issues that we would like to debate. But what's really, really important is I think people don't notice this, but never before has a budget been scrutinized this way. Every day, people are debating and calling the ministers to be accountable. And I think nowadays with social media, you can follow all the discussion that's happening. What I think is really important is for the opposition bloc, the MPs, to remain united, uh, with one purpose in mind, that when we go in, we think first about the people who elected us, the people we represent. Yeah, I think that's what's really important. It is. I remember Tun Dr. Mahathir said this: in every single battle that you take on, minimize your enemies. That's
Mm.
very important. If you start fighting against each other, you will lose sight of who your enemy is. And I think that
That
becomes the danger.
that is so true. And to compound to that misery, Sadiq was being called, quote, a child. What kind of message you think that MP was trying to send when the youth is supposed to play a part in nation building?
I was seated behind Sadiq when that incident happened. And at first, I kept quiet and I observed, and I was thinking, okay, this is not the first time they have done this to Sadiq. But
Right.
if we don't stand up and oppose to this, it will not be recorded in the Hansard. And what will be remembered 30 years down the road when somebody is doing research and reading this, they will remember a 72-year-old member of parliament calling a member of parliament in his 20s Buddha, and
Yeah.
nobody stood up for Syed Sadiq. So I felt very uneasy, and I decided to speak up and ask the speaker to allow me to intervene and to quote the standing order, because I feel it's really important. I think we underestimate, I think, the bullying that is happening outside, and a lot of children and young people actually struggle with this in school. And
Yeah.
so we broadcast the telecast, and we allow senior member of parliament to bully a young MP that way, and we take it sitting down, lying down, and just waiting for things to just go away or for that culture to change. It's not going to happen. But I think what's more concerning for me is the fact that MPs who are very senior in age, like he's in his 70s, he comes in with that sense of entitlement, that I'm more entitled to speak than you because I'm more experienced. But he doesn't understand that the voters of Pasir Salah carry the same amount of weight
Yeah.
in parliament as the
Yeah.
voters of Muar, you
Yeah.
know. And that's something I feel Pasir Salah has not been respectful of the weight of the votes that Sadiq carries when he comes in. We have all been elected by the
Yeah.
people, by Malaysians. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And Joanna, what do you say to that with Sadiq being called Budak? It actually hurt my feelings when I watched that video posted by YB Hannah.
Exactly. I was
Yeah.
watching the video last night and I thought it was really uncalled for,
Yeah.
because you have to understand that Parliament is not a place for jokes or janaka.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's a place where laws are made and it holds the government to account for its policies and actions and of course spendings, like the budget that's going on right now. So for a senior politician to call YB Sadiq a kid is actually indirectly insulting the people of Muar for voting a kid to represent them.
Yeah.
So in Parliament, whether you're 27 or you're 72 years old, the MPs are all equal and everyone, they have to give a mutual respect to who are voted in. And yes, of course, I've been only in politics for the last 4 years, okay, with Pati Warisan. So there's so many things that I still have to learn. And young MPs too, some young MPs have less experience, for example. But rather than conveying these condescending jokes, should I say, but the experienced politician, I think, should be giving constructive criticisms. Yeah. And we need young bloods to rejuvenate the Malaysian politics. And by calling a young MP a kid, this is a direct action of depriving the youth from voicing
Yeah.
our mind. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't worry, Sadiq. The youth we are all with you, Sadiq. I hope he's watching. YB Hannah, you held a high post with the previous government, and on top of that, you were also handling mummy duties. What were the challenges you faced holding such an important position, being surrounded by alpha male leaders, and at the same time being a good mother to your children? At work, did you ever feel isolated from or ostracized by the rest of your workmates?
Um, I think for my portfolio, we were looking after so many groups of Malaysians. We were looking after children, we were looking after senior citizens, women, the homeless, person with disabilities, the minorities, and with so many different groups of people. Every day we were almost like fighting fire. You know, today we have to respond to this child abuse case. The next day we have to respond to that child marriage issue. That was my challenge in constantly, almost on a every week, you know, what you plan to do, you have to sometimes put that aside because something urgent has come up. And when I say urgent, it requires immediate response because, you know, a child is dying. And so for me, during that time, I would not have been able to do it without a good support structure at home. I have, you know, my husband, my parents, my sisters, and my friends who help to stand in and to help carry some of that load. And you know, that's something that we had to adjust as parents. And I'm very thankful for a very supportive husband. And my husband made some adjustment to his career also, so that, you know, on Saturday and Sunday, at least one of us will be around to spend time with the kids. So that's something that we consciously decided to do. Yeah.
That's really good that you have supportive friends and families to help you with that. Joanna, before entering the political world, you were already a public figure in Sabah because of Undok Ngadao. If I'm not mistaken, was it 2007?
Yeah.
2007. And to be honest, I've never watched Undok Ngadao. I've never been to KDCA. And I don't know for what reason, 2007, that was my first time witnessing Undok Ngadao, and it was you. And it's a privilege to be here with you right now, to be here with you, interviewing you, and I feel really grateful. But so when you were secretary to Dato Sri Shafie Apdal, were there any perbezaan dalam cara orang layan Joanna? You know, for example, like in the office, did your workmates take you seriously? Or when you were out in public ka, pernahkah orang criticize about your position with the government? Mungkin ada yang komen, Joanna, bagus jadi penyanyi lah kau, bagus jadi model lah kau, no need to join politics. I mean, if you ever did, how did you overcome that? And what did you feel at the time?
Okey, kalau kita cakap pasal apa ini komen orang luar yang mengatakan bahawa lebih baik lagi kamu jadi penyanyi kah, kamu jadi model dan sebagainya. Perlu kita ingat ini 2007 itu berapa tahun yang lalu? 13 tahun yang lalu. Okey. Dan pada masa itu saya berumur 18 tahun. Jadi tidak terfikir di minda saya ini bahawa beberapa tahun akan datang saya akan berkecimpung dalam bidang politik. You see, so kalau bilang saya dilayan berbeza dengan rakan-rakan seperjawat saya di office dan sebagainya, saya rasa bagi saya belum pernah melalui itu. Tetapi you know, being in politics, you're always being exposed to bullets of political propaganda, for example, you see. So as a woman having a career in politics, things can be pretty accurate at sometimes. I know YB Hannah would also, you know, use this as well, especially early in her careers, even in fact now as well, you know, even now. So I believe that, you know, women are always being, you know, the focus of when they're, you know, political propagandas. But you know, I'm very, very thankful to Dato Sri Shafie Apdal that he gave me the opportunity of you know, becoming his political secretary, and as well, you know, to learn a lot of things about politics, about administration, you know, and he's a leader that we can learn a lot from. He's very knowledgeable, his vast experience. He has been sharing this to the younger generations like myself. In fact, I just want to share with you that most of his pegawais in the CM's office at that time, okay, during the Warisan-led governments, most of us are all young people. Okay, and from different backgrounds. Some are Kimaragang, some are also Bajau, and myself, I'm a Dusun and Murut as well. So, he's willing to share his knowledge, especially to all the young people. And again, I think to survive the choppy waters of politics, what has made me to go through this, to overcome this, is to stay laser focused on my work for Sabah at that time and the people of Sabah, and that kept me on the real road.
I love how your confidence and your semangat just stood up, and I love that energy. Joanna, you entered in the political world at such a young age. What inspired you, and what made you so concerned to want to be involved at that age?
Well, naturally, I have always been a very curious person. I'm very inquisitive, you see, and I like to know about local and national affairs at a very young age. And coming from a family in Kulu where politics is actually no alien to us, of which my grandfather, the late OKK Rampas, was the founder of Kulu. And he was the first OKK in Kulu in the 1940s, 1950s. And my mom was also a previous candidate in Kulu in 1994. And as well as my uncle, Dato Luis Rampas, was a 3-term Kulu State Assembly from 1999 to 2013. So I think these has pretty much influenced my curiosity towards politics and political party affairs since primary school. I still remember when I was in kindergarten, that was 1994, when my mom stood for election. And I went to school early in the morning, and I said to my teacher, I said, teacher, oh no, actually, Lause, PBS kala. And she was like, why is this girl? She's 5 years old and she's talking about, PBS kala. So I'm like, and then the teacher had to go and tell my mom, and my mom was called, and she said that, oh, your daughter has been talking about, politics, all the politics going on right now at that time. And surprisingly, at that very young age, I actually comprehend what was going on. I just didn't know what was, the nitty-gritty part of it, but I actually understood what was going on, that there was an election. Of course, my mom tried to explain everything, but at 5 years old, I think, I have already had this inquisitive sense in me. So I graduated from my LLM in 2014, and I had the opportunity to work in London for a bit. But in 2016, in fact, I was approached by our friend Dato Liking, and he introduced me to Parti Warisan in 2016, in October 2016, and I am one of the early member of Parti Warisan.
Parti Warisan.
Yeah, I'm actually number 35. Because in the nombor keahlian kan?
Yeah.
So I'm actually like number 35.
35.
Yeah. So I think at that time he. Dato Liking, he was very famous for, at that point, killing David and Goliath, where he killed the giant at that time. That was Tan Sri Bernard Dompok in Penampang. That was in 2013. So he was very famous, and then obviously, Sabahans were looking at him at that time, and he was rather vocal on issues pertaining to MA63 and the welfares of Sabah in federal level. And I think, this was something that really caught my mind and caught my interest actually to join Parti Warisan. And here I am now.
Here you are.
Yeah.
So you're a new mom, right?
Yes, I
So
am.
so what are you up to now? What's the next move? Do you and YB Hannah exchange mommy tips? Joanna, don't do this. Joanna, do this. Okay.
You tell them, Joanna.
Actually, yes, I am a mom of a beautiful cherub. She's 8 weeks old. Her name is
Oh,
Arumugam, and she's really occupying my.
your time.
Yes, I'm still learning. I'm still learning how how to handle a baby, for example. But I'm very, very lucky, that I have a very, again, a supportive husband. He's quite busy with his work.
Right.
He's a consultant anesthesiologist, so of course the time will be a bit erratic. He goes on call, and I'm so grateful to have my mom helping me as well. And the first few weeks of having Danielle, I mean, it was really stressed. I'm like, she's crying, and I'm like, what do you want? I don't really know how to handle you. But I'm very grateful that my mom is there to help me. And what is the next move for me? Well, here I am in Unity channel with you all, and let's move on and fight.
Yeah, you'll be fine. It's just in the beginning. See now, penonton now. This is Joanna's side that we don't know. Our women leaders, we don't know this side of them. So this is what the show is all about, to get to know them. And I don't think housewives are given enough recognition. I mean, most of us received a lot of bantuan from the government this year alone. But why not to housewives? Sudahlah, manager di rumah, chef di rumah, cikgu di rumah if they have kids. Take for instance, in my family, I have witnessed how stressed out my sister gets when she's helping her son with homework. And oh boy, she's not even a full-time housewife. She's balancing her career, and it's not easy. So imagine yang betul-betul suri rumah, the amount of pressure they face each and every single day. I truly believe they deserve more support. What's your take on that, YB Hannah?
That's something the Pakatan Harapan government in the 22 months, that's something we focus on, recognizing the informal sector, that housewives, there are not just housewives, but house husbands. There are people who play that role at home to support those who are working outside. And contribute indirectly to the economy of this nation. And so what we have done, we created this program called the iSuri program. If housewives, if they contribute 5 ringgit into their EPF account, then the state, not the state government, the federal government will then top up every month 40 ringgit savings, so that at the end of the day, they will have some kind of savings. And this is a recognition from the government that I recognize what you're doing, and that's why the government is contributing 40 ringgit a month, and that's under iSuri. So if you are a housewife and you have not registered, go to KWSP, ask them about the iSuri program, and you have to first be registered under the eKase database. Yeah,
Right.
so that's how we want to recognize their contribution. But on the other note, as a working mother, a lot of us can testify to the fact that if we do not have support at home, if we don't have a domestic helper or somebody helping us with the load at home, somebody will have to do the washing, the ironing, cooking. These are very time consuming tasks, and they are very, very important tasks. And sometimes I think we underestimate the contribution of these foreign workers who have come in. They sacrifice their time away from their home to come and contribute to our home. And still you get stories of Malaysians abusing their mates, which is very, very unfortunate. I think we
Yeah.
really ought to place a greater importance on these ladies who have sacrificed so much to help us, so that we are able to work outside.
Joanna, are you since you're on mommy duty now, and do you think you want to be a housewife? Are you ready? I mean, just for the time being, just relax and, I think you deserve it too.
Yeah, well, Elaine, I don't. I would prefer to say
What?
that I would prefer to say it to be a homemaker rather than housewives.
Sorry.
Yeah. Well, you see, today motherhood is still made to look as though, sorry, it is somewhat a disadvantage, especially when mothers are in a corporate sector, for example, and they're often overlooked in promotions. And for some, child is for promotions. So you see, studies have repeatedly show that women's earning capacity stalls after having children, and mothers spend considerably more time taking care of children than the fathers do. So this is basically what we normally see. But to be fair, I think it is the assumption in all over the world that women are considered to be homemakers while their husbands are wage earners. So I would like to say kudos to the groundbreaking idea of YB Hanayo and her ministry before, and Pakatan Harapan with Aisuri, and it actually catered the well-being of housewives at that time. So I do agree that the homemakers in Malaysia are not given much recognition when it comes to benefits, actually. This is just my opinion. You see, if you hire a helper at home, of course you would have to pay her services. But what about the moms, you see? So perhaps this is just an idea that came into mind where maybe we could help women, especially those in M40s or B40s, receive allowance from the government while raising their children. So an idea that came to mind, I was doing some reading way back, and it just suddenly clicked into my mind a few days ago about the model in the UK, where the caregiver of the family is entitled to child benefits, which is part of the national insurance policy. So you're normally qualified to get child benefits in the UK if you're responsible for a child that's under 16 years old. So if we were to have the same sort of model here in Malaysia, I don't know, IBO, maybe this is something that can be discussed about, I don't know. But if we were to have this in Malaysia, yes, that will increase tax. But I think receiving children benefit until a certain age will definitely decrease the burden of a family, especially young families. I have experience being a mom, okay, and my daughter drinks a lot of milk. Yes, and when we go to the market, kalau kita pergi supermarket, kita nampak sekarang, okay, susu saja 3 hari punya susu sudah RM10, okay, untuk satu budak, right? So 30 hari satu budak boleh minum sampai 6 kilo, okay. Jadi kalau kita buat perkiraan dan sebagainya, satu budak, okay, kira-kira lebih kurang 300 hingga 500 expenses untuk satu bulan just for susu and diapers. Okay, this is my experience. Okay, so during the pandemic, masa inilah kita boleh melihat sebenarnya kesukaran, terutamanya kepada ibu-ibu yang ada di rumah yang tidak boleh keluar dan sebagainya untuk memberi makan kepada anak mereka, terutamanya. Okay, semasa kami berada di state government, warisan led government dulu, kita mendapat banyak telefon daripada orang-orang terutamanya di kawasan pedalaman yang mana mereka mempunyai kesukaran untuk mendapatkan susu dan juga pampers. Inilah masalah yang selalu kita dapat. So I think in terms like this, if we would have to have some sort of so-called child benefit, for example, this is such fund, I think, would be seen as a safety net for perhaps sudden unemployment in a family or any facing the pandemic like COVID-19. So I think this is something maybe we can look into, but I don't know why, Hannah, perhaps you have your thought about it.
So Elaine, this is exactly what I mean by, it's time for us to spend more time looking at policy instead of racial and religious politics. I think Malaysia, we waste so much time talking about things that we cannot change. A lot of the things that will make the headlines, and that's very unfortunate. Usually, sensational news will hit the headline, but if you have a discussion on the price of milk and how to make milk more affordable, how to make sure that children get the best care, it will never make the headline, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And this is why I think the day Malaysia can move beyond racial talks, policy making will improve for sure. Yeah.
Maybe Hannah, I have one question from the audience.
Okay.
How does your husband feel about you being the breadwinner? Did he ever get jealous that you're more famous?
My husband works. He has his own business, and in
He was a pastor before, right?
yes, he was. Now he's in business.
Mm.
It takes a very secure man to be able to release his wife to pursue public service. It is not easy. Public service is very, very time consuming. It requires you to be away on weekends sometimes, and there are days where my husband will have to share me with the people. I remember a few incidents when I was state assemblyman for Subang Jaya, and there was an explosion in Empire Shopping Mall. And I remember I
Yeah.
was still breastfeeding. My baby was very young, and I think that was about 3-4 a.m. And when the cops called me and they notified me, I had to tell my husband, I say, I got to go for a while. And obviously he's worried about my safety going out at that time. But these are some of the duties that come with public service. And every time it rains now, I would be praying, please don't flood, because it would mean if it's at 11 p.m. at night, sometimes you are required to go to the ground because people would want to see their elected representatives. So
Yeah.
there's a heavy price to pay for the spouse of politicians, whether it's man or woman. And sometimes we don't appreciate them enough. And the funny thing, let me tell you this: the elected representatives are called YB, Yang Berhormat, right?
Yeah.
Their spouses are called Yang Berbahagia, and we all know what bahagia means, the happy one. But we always underestimate that they pay a heavy price. Sometimes they are unhappy because they don't get quality time, or
Time
the
with you.
right time, important time. Yeah. So the perception of what we go through can be so different in reality. And that's why if you look at all these titles, Yang Berbahagia for the spouse of the electorate, but they pay such a heavy price. Yeah.
All right. A few more questions from the audience. What's the most embarrassing moment you can remember that you wish you could take back or erase from your memory? Why be Hannah first?
I get a lot of this, especially after giving birth. I have not lost that baby weight yet, the pregnancy weight. And when I remember after confinement, I went out to a Lantern Festival event, and a resident came, touched my tummy. This is after confinement. Resident touched my tummy and asked me, so when is the baby due? When are you giving birth? And I was horrified. First for residents to touch your tummy and to also constantly, I think women leaders get this more. Being people make comment about your appearance, the color of your hair, or you have put on weight, or this attire that you're wearing. I don't think people say that to the male representatives.
Yeah. I mean, that is already wrong to just go to you and touch you physically and to comment on things like that. What about you, Joanna? I hope so far tidaklah kau terkena begitu.
So far kalau pasal itu belum kena lagi because lepas saya beranak itu we had a conditional MCO here.
Right. Yeah.
We met a lot of people. I don't know. I've still a lot of baby weights to lose still.
I would say embrace it for a few months, if not a year.
I know.
You just gave birth.
I'm just, I mean, come on, it's not an easy 9 months of carrying a baby and everything like that. I mean, you know what? I'm
Yeah.
just taking my time. But what is the most embarrassing moment that I want to erase? Well, I used to sing before. Okay, maybe I just want to share something
Sure.
experience.
We know you sing.
Yeah, well, I used to sing before, and there was one particular event where I was just about to go up the stage, and my heels just was busted. So what I had to do was that I had to go tiptoe, tiptoe. But lucky it was just like a short song, And I said like, okay, I can't go up with my shoes. And lucky I had a long dress at that
You
time.
you
Jadi
mean
cover lah sikit
you mean
kan.
your heel broke, so you had to tiptoe with the other heels to
Yeah,
pretend that you have.
exactly.
Oh, oh
Exactly.
dear.
Exactly. So yeah, and I just had to go in front and then just pretend that everything's fine. I'm leveled, and nobody noticed it. Thank you very much. But then
Did you sing well? I hope you did.
I did. It was a short song only. Okay, it was only about 2 minutes. It
Ah,
was not
okay.
4 minute song, so that was fine. So I told one of the managers. I said, okay, it's okay. Never mind. I'll just go up with my kaki next satu begini
With your pretend heel.
and heel
With your
exactly.
pretend.
So, but thankfully everything went fine at that point, and nobody noticed. I'm not going to say which show is that because some of the pictures are still in Facebook. So
Oh,
I do not want you to go and see that picture.
it's okay. It'll be another time for us to discuss and to share. YB Hannah, this is one of the most common questions for you. What do you do to unwind away from the husband and the kids? Like, okay, mommy needs her me time. What do you do to have your me time?
Um, when I am home, and usually for me to unwind, most days after coming back from work, I will chill with my husband. We'll either watch TV together or we'll catch up on how our day has been. So that's our chilling time. We always update each other on what happened that day. But apart from that, I enjoy window shopping. Just going around, you don't have to buy things, but just seeing things help me to de-stress. So I go to malls sometimes to just walk if I have that time to de-stress. Yeah.
But won't people recognize you?
Don't go to the mall in your constituency. So you go outside of your constituency, that'll be fine. And actually nowadays we all wear masks, so people don't
Yeah,
really.
so it's good. Wear a cap, maybe a sweatshirt. Just really go incognito. It's like, nope, I'm not Hannah Yo. You have the wrong person.
I think masks are good enough. Yeah.
Good enough. Joe, are you taking notes now? I mean, it is still the pandemic, so mask is okay, but in the future,
Mm.
this is all over.
Okay.
I hope you're taking notes and texting YB Hannah like, okay, I don't know what to do. I need to, or maybe find me lah. Yeah, we can do girl talk, catch up a little bit. But yeah, is there still hope in this country? YB Hannah?
Of course. I think if it's always easy to compare our country with other countries, and we always think that the grass is greener the other side. But I think every nation has their challenges, and it's not by accident that we are Malaysians. And actually, our nation is very blessed. We are spared a lot of natural disasters, unlike other countries. We still have food that we can put on the table. Of course, not for every family, and that's something I think lawmakers must strive to ensure that every Malaysian must not go hungry during this time. And as long as we can work, as long as we are alive, we need to do our best to improve, because we really owe this to our children and their
Yeah.
generations. We cannot just sit back
Yes.
and not do anything. Yeah.
That is so true. Joanna, what do you think? Last week, Sadiq answered for Dato Sri. Is there still hope for this in this country?
Yes, yes. I believe there is still it's not there is still hope. There is hope
There is hope.
for this country. Of course, all the time there are principled peoples like
Yeah.
yourself.
Yes.
Yeah. And Dato Sri, we have Dato Sri Shafie Apdal. Okay, and I believe, we have seen it happen on the 9th of May in 2018. Okay, and of course, there was a bit of a hiccup earlier this year, where we had a sudden change of government,
Yeah.
and I believe, I truly believe that once we are united and we have stand together, and especially during this pressing moment that we are facing right now, yeah, this COVID-19 pandemic, um, uh,
There is
you
still hope.
yeah, there's the hope.
It's
Yeah,
the only thing to look forward to. Like, just
exactly.
we just gotta hold hands and hope for the best. Because if you had the chance to inspire someone out there, a mother, a daughter, a sister, who wishes to have the same confidence and strength as both of you have, what would you say to them, and what would you do to inspire more young Malaysian women to run for office? Right, Hannah?
Um, nowadays with social media, it's very easy for people to just see the good side, the flawless side. When we want to load photos, we obviously will choose the best photo to upload, but people then walk away with a false perception. This person has everything, I don't have this. So I think it's important for us, while we show perfection on social media, it's also very important to be vulnerable and also to tell people about our weakness and our challenges. And so every time I have a public engagement or public talk with people, I try to always tell them a struggle that I have, so that people know how you take steps to overcome that kind of challenge. And that's something, parenting, that's something I really do. I try my best to do now, to equip my kids with survival skill. I think learning to survive, having that skill, is more important than just possessing that mindset to always want to excel. If we
Yeah.
are constantly teaching our kids that you have to excel, then when they walk away and fail, that's when a lot of them will just give up on life.
Yeah.
But if you teach them survival skill, every time you fall down, you pick yourself up and you run
Yeah.
again, and you walk again, you try again. And so that's what I do. I teach my children that, but at the same time, every time we have a bad political episode, I tell myself, take a short break, 1 day, 2 days, don't read any comments, don't read any WhatsApp messages, talk, don't do life alone. So I have very good peer support in politics. In my party and also outside of my party, we share a lot of the talks. And we encourage one another, and we always tell ourselves, it's going to be okay in two days time, it will be better next week. So
Yeah.
you constantly have to encourage yourself. Yeah.
That's a great advice. What about you, Joanna?
Well, what would I say to women who are, or women
Look
who
up to you.
are interested, and also interested to run office?
Office.
The first thing I think I would say to them is be prepared to put the rakyat first. If they want to, run for office, be forward thinking and be willing to make any reformations where there is necessary. That is including the topic we're talking today, which is about women.
Women.
Yes, and to understand that it would be a duty and self-sacrifice if you were to run for office. And of course, the goal is to make Malaysia and the nation to be the most successful country here, especially in Southeast Asia.
That's good. That's great advice from you both. Well, thank you so much. That is all the time that we have. Again, thank you so much to YB Hannah and Joanna. It's lovely to virtually meet you guys. I hope to have you guys on the show again. Rest well tonight, and I'll see you guys in the next show.
Thank you. See you. Bye.
Bye.
Kepada penonton-penonton, terima kasih kerana sudah bersama dengan kami sekali lagi. Jangan lupa saksikan episod yang seterusnya setiap hari Rabu jam 9 malam here on The Unity Show. I'm Elaine Audrey, reminding all of you to stay safe. I'll catch you guys next week. Selamat malam.